What's going on, everyone? My learn and burn session is in full effect. Doing my morning cardio, reading a little bit. I like that, you know. Feel like step by step and word by word, I'm getting closer to the version of myself that I need to be able to conquer my dreams. So, as I was reading, it reminded me of the times in school when I was reading and when I was learning for, a test that I had. And I just wanted to share a little thought with you guys. Because I just recorded a podcast episode about failing and why failing is so important. Now, there is a quote from Theodore Roosevelt who said, "The only person that never fails is the person that never does anything." I'm not 100% sure if that's the exact quote. I'm going to blend it in here. But basically, if you don't do anything, you cannot fail. But you can also not succeed, right? But at least you cannot make a mistake. You cannot fail. And making a mistake is a proof that you're doing something. And anything that is worth doing poorly at first. You can never become a master if you were not a student first. And the job of a student is to fail, is to make mistakes. And the biggest misconception that I think a lot of people have, and that I had for a very long time, because I'm not going to try to generalize and not include myself, is I was afraid of making mistakes. I wanted to, especially in the eyes of other people, look like I got it. I always wanted to look like a winner. And I never wanted to try something where I wasn't sure that I'm going to be successful, or where there was a chance of me failing. I was like, no. I need to prepare. I need to be more ready. I need to learn more. I need to ask more people before I make a decision. But you'll never be able to adapt the theory you read in a book or that someone else told you or taught you. You're never going to be able to adapt it 100% to your own life, to your own problem. You'll have to make the first step. You have to try. And you will fail and you'll make mistakes. But, in school, we learned that we're going to have a test. And this is what you have to study for the test. So if you prepared enough, you're going to get a good grade. Because you'll not get a question in the test that is not in a material that you're studying. It's never going to be beyond it, right? It's just going to be, maybe you have these 10 chapters. If you study them well enough, then you're not going to make any mistakes. Well, life is very different. Because in life, you will not get the solutions to all the questions in advance, and you just have to study them and be sure that you're not going to make a mistake. In life, you have to find the solutions. You have to find the answers by doing. And you will not know from the beginning. You can be prepared, and yes, it's good to have some theory and to be prepared, because they also say prior proper planning prevents poor performance. Yes, that's true. But you can never be ready for something that you've never done before. 100%. If you're afraid of failing, if you're afraid of rejection, if you're afraid of a no, and you look at it as failure just because you asked 10 people and they rejected you. Some of the most successful people failed. Henry Ford started 3 companies that failed before he started Ford Motors. Bill Gates' first company went bankrupt before he started Microsoft. You have so many examples of people that got rejected over and over and over and over again before they got successful. Some of the best writers were rejected 50 times, 100 times before they got a publishing deal, and then it became a bestseller because they didn't find a person that believed in the project. So, do you think that the first time they did it, if they saw it as a failure, and they were afraid to fail, afraid to start or go on, they would have continued? No. They just knew that this was not the right direction. So you got to find another direction. There is a statistic that says that only 10% of the people that start their own company succeed and 90% fail. But there's also another statistic, don't pinpoint me on these statistics, but the statistic that says that before an entrepreneur is successful, the average amount of times they fail is 3.8 times. So between 3 and 4 times, they fail before they're successful. So their first ideas, their first project, their first company fails. The second one fails, the third one fails. It's an average, so some people might fail 5, 6, 7 times before they're successful. And these are the 10% that make it. Because the other 90% fail one time and they say, you know what, I'm just not made for this. Let me go back to my job. It just doesn't work. Let me go back to what I'm doing. And the successful people that fail, they look at it and they're like, you know what, that wasn't the right approach. Let me change the approach. It's very interesting. I was talking to an investor and he told me that he would rather invest in someone that already started 3, 4 companies and failed and came up with his 5th company than someone that has a startup and it's his first company. Because that person with an idea, even if it's a great idea, does not have the experience of failing and starting over again. That person that failed has heart. That person that failed and is willing to start again is someone that's not going to give up. And it is someone that's willing to take risks. And he said that you can only win if you take risks, if you're willing to take risks. So if you're careful, if you're waiting, you're never going to be able to reach the full potential of that idea. You're never going to be able to break through. This is why he said, when someone fails, it is a proof that that person is taking action. And it is a proof that person is willing to take risks. And you can only win when you take risks. So forget the approach that you learned in school, that you will have to study everything that's in a test and then take a test. And if you study well, if you're well prepared, then you're not going to fail. Forget that. If you try something and you fail, be proud that you tried it, you know. And I like to, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little out of breath, but there's something that I like to do. It's a habit that I read in a book. I don't know exactly which book, but if I find out, I'll link it below. Where they said, test yourself and see if you failed this week, if you failed today. Did you receive a no? Were you rejected? Did you try something that was not successful? If you didn't, that means you stayed in your comfort zone. That means you did not go to the edge of what you're capable of doing. Fail more often and fail faster. It's just like when you're in a room and you have 10 doors in front of you. Now, if you're 100% sure that there is your answer and all your goals and dreams, whatever, are behind one of these doors, what's the best way to find out which one is the right door? You have to open one. And if it's not the right one, you close it and you open another one. Even if it means that, let's say one door might have an electroshock on it and it hurts you for a little bit or something like that, I don't know. Even if you have to sacrifice a little bit every single time you open a door. But if you open a door and you say, man, I failed, I don't want to feel that pain one more time, you're giving up. And that is ultimate failure. You can only fail when you completely give up. As long as you keep going, you didn't fail. That is just temporary. So if you continue and you open door after door after door, an empty door does not mean failure. An empty door is just one door away from the right door. That means failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the door to success. The more you fail, the closer you get to your goal. So fail often and fail fast. Yeah, by the way, this is my little home gym. This is where I do my cardio in the morning. Let me show you guys. I don't really have much. There's this small tower here, but it's enough to get done what I gotta do. And you know, I don't have that much time to go to the gym every time. So I just do that here. Here, we have this window that leads to the balcony, so I just have to climb out of the window. Beautiful weather in Dubai. I love this. I got a cool view. We're in Basha right now. I gotta climb up this small ladder, so I just have to climb up. Welcome to my rooftop. This is where I like to come when I'm done with my morning routine, my morning cardio exercise. I just like to come here, sit down, and think a little bit, visualize my day, visualize my week, Sometimes I come here to write a little bit because it just takes me away from being in a room. I just like, you know, like open skies and, you know, seeing the buildings and whatever. It just inspires me. All right, so I'm just gonna finish my visualization and leave you with the last words of failing is just the first attempt in learning. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the gateway. It is the door to success. First attempt in learning. You need to fail to be able to be successful. If you didn't fail today, if you didn't receive a no, if you didn't get rejected, if you didn't fail in the attempt of doing something, that meant that you stayed in your comfort zone and you didn't try something that will make you grow. So make mistakes, fail, try to be as successful as possible, but don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to try something when you don't know if it's going to work or not. If you know it's important to do it and fail. Stand back up, try again, fail, stand back up, and stop using the word fail. Start using learned. I didn't fail, I learned something. That was my first step in an attempt to learn. So I learned something, and now I'm gonna take another step, and now I'm gonna take another step. How many times do you try? As many times as you need until you're successful. So if you have these 100 doors, start opening and closing these doors, because when you open a door and it's not the right one, you're just one door away from the right one. You're just one step away from changing your life forever. You're just one move, one decision, and one action away from changing your life forever. So I'm gonna now finish with my morning visualization. Wish you a beautiful day and fail, 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 and succeed.